All right, guys, it's 3 o'clock, and I want to be respectful of everyone's time, so we're going to get started. Obviously, we're here today because we all love road construction. It's sexy. No, it's not. No, we're here today. We have a really big project coming down the pipeline that's going to impact the entire community. So, my name is Christy Bars. I am with the Hastings Chamber of Commerce. This meeting is a Chamber of Commerce meeting because we wanted to make sure that from a chamber perspective that the business voices were heard in the beginning planning of this project, and that once it starts, that we can form and continue to meet as a business group so that we can support each other, because this is going to be a major impact for all of us, and we're all going to need each other's support. So today we're going to hear from the City of Hastings and what their priorities are for this project and how they've partnered with MnDOT, and then we'll turn it over to Bryant. I know many of you have heard from Bryant in the past, and he's going to give an update on some of the designs and then talk a bit about the construction process and proposed next steps. So I know many of you have been receiving the emails for the Highway 61 open to business meetings. We've had a few of them. Those are going to ramp up really once construction starts, because as I talked about, it's going to be really important as us as business owners to stay involved and connected and be able to support each other through this process. The title of the meetings are Highway 61 Open for Business, because as MnDOT will talk, all businesses will have an access point, so you will be able to remain open through construction, but it's going to be up to us to make sure that we are promoting to our customers and employees how to maneuver through this process. So I do have a sign-up sheet that I'll pass around. If you're not already receiving emails for these meetings, please sign up and we will get you added to the list. So I'm going to have Ryan Semsky with the City of Hastings talk about the city perspective here.
Thank you, Christy, and thanks for everybody attending again. We've had a lot of these meetings now, and it's good to see a lot of familiar faces continue to be so engaged in the project. So a lot more of that to come as well. From the city perspective, you'll hear Brian talk about some of the key goals of the project, and we're in full support of the safety and mobility issues that are coming in the future for 61. Brian will share the stats again from the study, but we do have concerns with some of the critical crash rates, and we do have concerns of the do-nothing approach and what that does for mobility across Trunk Highway 61 and what that would do to our community. So we are in full support of the project, but that comes with a lot of additional things from the city perspective. One of the number one things we're hearing from our city council, and this has been consistent, is the impact on businesses. So that's why Bryant and I did a lot of outreach, one-on-one meetings with business owners. That's why we're fully supporting of Christie's in the chamber's work group here on the Open for Business, and it's just something where we're taking a different perspective. We want to flip the script on trunk highway projects. We don't want this to be a project that comes to town that shuts down businesses or causes businesses to lose significant revenues and that sort of thing. So we're trying to take a different approach and try to really engage in communications and try to really kind of open this up and have these discussions. And on the first part, it's kind of engaging with all of you and hearing what concerns do you have? What things could make the project better? What things could we do during design or in construction to get out ahead of this, rather than on the back end saying, oh, we wish we would have, or we should have done. And so you'll hear some of those nuances. It all started with hearing and listening to all the access concerns that folks had. We have to get trucks for delivery in our business. We have customers coming in this direction or that direction. And so I think MnDOT did a really thoughtful approach to try to listen to those concerns. Not every concern is addressed. Again, the leading goals are safety and mobility, so we have to take that into account. But a lot of things were addressed, and you'll see that. The other part is what other things during the staging, and he'll talk about that a little bit. In the staging, what things can we do during construction to make it less painless, to give those access points, and let's build those into the project now. And then the last thing is really the communication. We've had some recent trunk highway projects in town that we've learned from, right? We knew we could have do things better. And one of these was having a dedicated liaison during the design, which again, MnDOT will talk about, but having a dedicated liaison during design and then carrying that person through the construction. So that means when you have an issue, and you can reach out to a person that has some impact and influence on the project, and that they can get you an answer or get you to the person directly that can answer those questions, and have it a little bit more real time of business support during the project and the rest of the community. So those are some of the things that, you know, the city is really trying to do differently and be a strong partner and be an advocate for our businesses. And the other parts, some of the utility improvements and the landscaping, we'll talk about those later. Those are other parts that we don't want to forget about. But with that, I think I'm going to turn over to Bryant, and he'll get into some of these specifics. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it. And Christy, thank you for organizing, inviting us. We're happy to come out here. And much as Ryan said, we want to make this a very successful project, and that involves communication, getting information out. So my name is Bryant Fisek. I'm the South Area Manager for MnDOT Metro. I work in Dakota, Scott, and Carver counties, and basically, if it involves a highway, somehow I get my hands into it. This is obviously a big project, very impactful, and so this is one that we're spending a lot of time on. Over here is Robert Jones. He is serving a dual purpose here. He's my South Area engineer, so he focuses specifically on Dakota County and the highways within, and he's also the project manager on this, so he's seeing it through final design into construction and everything. So you'll be seeing a lot of both of us. Anything you want to add to that, or you want me to keep going?
Nope, I'm here. I've got thick skin, so please contact me. If you have a complaint, anything, we'll work through it.
All right, awesome. You can heckle me from the stands now. So just quick agenda, some of the items we want to talk about. We're going to hit the project purpose again. We're going to keep going back to this. We want to make sure that's up front. Everybody understands, why are we doing this? Why are we out here? Why are we making changes? We'll get into that. Current project status. We'll talk about the layout. I know that's important to all of you. We're to that point now where we've finalized or we've made some decisions. I know some of you have been waiting a long time to see the final things. And then more importantly, I want to turn the page and get into staging. So now it's not what are we going to build, it's how are we going to build it. And this is where, again, we want your input. We want to bring those things forward, present them, get your input. Be very transparent, this is not a democracy. We're not going to vote on it, but we do want your input because we take that in, we go back, we evaluate it. How does this mix with our other goals? And how can we try to balance different priorities coming forward? And then some other elements, as Ryan noted, as well as next steps. So that's all the things we'll try to hit here over the next little bit.
Excuse me, Frank. Is the microphone on?
Am I not holding it close enough?
Thank you.
I'll try to do better. All right, project purpose. So we have our statement right up front: facilitate safe and efficient multimodal movement of people and goods on the Highway 61 corridor while maintaining infrastructure at a state of good repair and enabling community connections. So it's a very long sentence. There's a lot to pack in there, and I think it reflects all the different aspects we're looking for. We are looking for that first and foremost, safety and efficiency, safety and mobility, getting those aspects in there. Multimodal, it's not just about vehicles, it's also about people who are not only walking along 61, but crossing. We don't want the highway to be a barrier for the city. And then again, as you keep going, it's people and goods, maintaining the infrastructure, good repair. There are some potholes out there, unfortunately. I'm sure you've hit all of them on your ways back and forth, but that's part of it too, is making sure we have a good road, good sidewalks for people moving through this. And then the last part, community connections. It is a highway. We have to move traffic, but we recognize that this goes right through Hastings. It has to be more than a highway. It has to also reflect the community. So going back into the study that we did a few years ago, just some stats from that. 32,000 vehicles per day on Highway 61 up to, depends on which section you're in, and you can get up to 15% heavy vehicles, so lots of semis moving through. So back to our movement of people and goods. There's a lot coming through this highway, and we have to be mindful of that. The next bullet, the crash rate. So this is a formula that takes the crashes on the corridor, brings it down into a single number, and then we can compare that to similar corridors. And so on this corridor, it's 3.9. The MVM is a million vehicle miles. And so that 3.9, when we compare that to similar corridors, similar 4-lane corridors like 61, we see 1.8. That means we have a lot more crashes on this corridor than we want, than we have at comparable things. Again, back to that safety aspect. That's what we're concerned about. The third bullet point, with our modeling, we forecasted traffic out. We put all the intersections in, lots of access. If you're traveling on the road southbound today from the bridge through 36, it's about 5 minutes, plus or minus, depending on how you hit some of the signals. When we forecasted that out to 2040, there's a little bit of rise in traffic, not strong, not a lot, but there is that growth in traffic volumes. But what we saw with all the conflicts, with all the different movements on there, that travel time jumped up to 22 minutes. Nobody wants to see that. That's way too long. And that speaks to why we need to do this. We want to make that mobility, keep people moving along the highway. And then the last bullet point just talks to the other ones, some of the reasons for that crash rates, some of the reasons for that high travel time is the high density access, and particularly between Highway 55 and 18th, we're looking at all those driveways, all those individual ones. Every time there's a driveway on the highway, it represents a risk. It represents more movements that people are slowing down for or coming out slowly. Those are things that we pay attention to that reflect the other ones. And so one of the reasons we're taking a look at it. So this should be familiar to you, just trying to track our progress as we move along. We've been through the planning. That was a planning study, trying to look at, hey, what should we do here? What are the issues? How do we solve them? Scoping and funding, where we refine the vision, apply for grants. That's kind of ongoing, but still working on it. And then preliminary design, that's what we spend a lot of time on, is taking that vision plan, putting engineering to it, and turning it into an actual drawing that says, okay, this is what we can build. This is feasible from what we've put together, looked into these different aspects. That's the part we're ending, and now we're turning to this final design, where we actually put the drawings together, the structural plans together, and tell a contractor how they're going to build it. What does it mean? How do you stage everything? Where's the pipe going? Where is different curb and gutter? What do the lanes look like? All that stuff, just telling them how it's going to be built. So that's where I say in this schedule, we're right in between that preliminary, moving from preliminary to final. Big bar right above it, that public engagement. We want to maintain that all the way through. And I've tried to be out here a lot, and we're going to continue that. Robert's going to be out here a lot. It's been good to get to know you. All right, this is very tiny. Don't try to look at that one. I've got more slides coming. But it's just an example of the whole layout that we've got from end to end. It's more detail on it, provides all that engineering detail that we're looking for. And then I've just got some key areas of note that we're going to go through here. And so starting out, what we did here is lay them out side by side from the vision study, what we originally thought from the issues and solutions that we analyzed, and then moving to what the layout actually looks like. So vision study on the left, layout today of what we're going to build on the right. And so this one shows that 4th, 5th, and 6th area, north end of the project. You can see it's pretty similar from what the vision study had. Looking at 5th, we put that median in the middle. You can see how that's translated through. We've still got the wide median in there, cutting those left turns off. We'll have, that'll be for better crossings for people walking across. Still got the signal at 4th. I mean, just translated across, pretty similar in terms of what that looks like. All right, moving up to 10th and 55th, this was a key area that we looked at during the study. It is a congested area, 2 signals side by side like that, a lot of movements back and forth. It's hard to get through both signals, or at least I've had trouble getting through both signals, hit a red on one of them most of the time. And so we were looking at how can we improve, again, the safety and mobility as we come through. And so, again, a lot of those elements still true. We're looking at having a right in to this 11th Street. You can see how that translates through. So you will not be able to go through on 55 into the Walgreens here. If you're coming from 55, you'd have to come through, come in on 10th and around. But what that does is eliminate one leg from that signal, allows that green time to be redistributed, and improves those operations in that area. Same thing over at 10th. We're turning this into a one-way to the west. So you can still turn from both way or from all directions there, but there will not be the opposite traffic coming out. That turns it into more of a T intersection, allows us to redistribute that green time. And so between them, we get better operations through there, better operations, better safety. It all ties together. So again, for this one, as we looked from the vision to the layout, fairly similar as we moved from the vision into that engineering. All right, so moving on to the 11th and 12th Street area. One of the main reasons for the change here is to increase the length of this left turn lane to Highway 55. That's an area that backs up. Those left turns stack up. They move into the through lane. Now you're interrupting all that traffic there. And so to do that, again, very similar to how the vision study looked, we needed to change how the median was. We looked at how this affects access throughout here. And this is one where we had individual meetings with some of the businesses in this area, talked about what this could mean. We talked about, for this 12th Street here, does that still need to be a city road? If we don't have that left in, you know, that's something the city's looking at. Do they still need that road? Could that be vacated back? For the Dairy Queen and this group of businesses here, they don't have this left in here. We've talked to them about switching that, so now people would turn in. It would reverse the flow through their parking lot. And we've had some talks about that. Again, pointing out the need for the changes in here. That was one that they understood and moving forward with. And then, you know, similarly, as we look at these accesses, some of the closures, some of the changes, anytime we close an access, anytime we make some of the changes, we reduce those conflicts, we're improving the safety and trying to make it more efficient for everyone, even people going to and from the businesses as well. So still moving north to south, still pretty similar as we've gone from the vision study to the layout. So this is an area where we had a number of changes. And so from the vision study, there's my pointer. So a lot of access changes. This was one in particular we looked at. Could we combine the driveway? How do those lefts get in? Looked at how people were moving through here. Again, vision study was one way. As we had more conversations in here and as we looked at it from the engineering standpoint, this single driveway, there is a slope there. Several people pointed that out. We tested it anyway. Can't do that, so we had to keep those separated. There will still be the lefts in there. Not ideal from a MnDOT standpoint, but from the engineering standpoint, that's what we needed to do, maintains that access in there. Similarly, it is shown on the vision here. This was a change we made for the vision study, maintaining that for truck access on the back. You can see that entrance still there. We had, this left turn lane, getting to these driveways. this left turn lane coming to the west side. We had that closed off originally. We looked at how people were moving around, and that needed to be in there. So again, just examples of changes that we tried to make as we talked with businesses. As we looked at this, looked at the travel routes, how are people getting in and out? Where would they have to go if we change an access? What does this look like? 16th is another area with some changes. Primarily looking at this left turn lane, lengthening that to allow people to turn to 17th. Providing this northbound left into the businesses on the west side here. That was something we were considering blocking off. We had some closures up here. Reopen those based on how the businesses or how the traffic flows through here. Again, more conversations with different businesses looking at those routes, trying to make those reasonable changes where we needed to. 18th and 19th. 18th Street is where we're putting in a new signal, and that is primarily for the truck traffic in that area from the mill. There's a lot of trucks that come through there. In combination with that, there were trucks that came in and out of the two driveways there. You can see it a little better on the left side here. And particularly when those trucks come out, they're blocking both lanes of traffic. That is a big thing that we're looking at. It obviously presents an issue for that northbound traffic, and so that helped by closing those off, by redistributing that traffic back to 18th. That helped justify the signal here. That makes it easier for those trucks to move in and out of 18th and provides that safety and mobility for us. As we continued talking with the mill, one of the changes based on how their traffic flow is, we looked at this and evaluated the mobility and safety and determined we could allow a right in this area, have the traffic come in. A bit of change from what we had, but again, trying to keep our goals in mind, trying to talk with the mill at how they move, how their parking lot works, and where their truck traffic goes. One of the changes we made. At the county road, this is one we had a number of discussions with the county about. They have their own plans for County Road 46, 47. Biggest thing I keep pointing out, making this a right turn lane. I know it's parking there. In my head, I know it every time I drive through there. I still want to pull into it like it's a right turn lane. So we're gonna make that change. We've got that in there. We originally had this a little straightened out, more of a 90-degree angle. As our engineers looked at it, they were looking at the pathways, particularly for trucks, how those movements come around. Our traffic group also looked at the numbers and do we really need those dual lefts? And they determined we could get by with a single left and a right. Not quite as straightened up as we went before, but that was based on the paths. And then making that an urban section, adding the trail in there, those are all helping the county with their plans. So this was a big change here. Lots of discussion about how to move forward on this. So in the vision study in this 21st to 23rd area, we were thinking of some sort of backage road in this area, trying to close this one off to right in, right out, 21st here, same with 22nd, redirect people over to 23rd and have the potential for a signal on this, and then allow people access off the back. And this is one where we've had some of those individual meetings. Looking at this, we had a lot of discussion on that backage road. What does it take to put that in? What does it mean for the requirements that we have to go through? And where we ended up was not having that backage road at this time. So for this project, leaving it out, could come back at a later date. We're gonna keep monitoring it, but right now, for this project, the plan is to not have that backage road. We'll keep access at the 21st, 22nd. Still try to set this up a little bit for the future, and there's still some access changes as you head up to 24th, but some of this area in here will look the same in terms of how people are able to turn in and out of there. So at Highway 316, this is where we had the roundabout, and if you remember last time, it's not shown in these two, we had a lot of discussion about this kind of free right movement from 316 on and how it comes into its own lane. That's what happens today. You take that right, you can move into the own lane. In the last time we talked, we were considering whether this could be one lane and they come up and they turn in and you have a single lane that expands into two. Gone away from that. We're going to keep that free movement in there. Still have the two lanes coming southbound. One will go into the left, come around the roundabout. The other one will go through. You have a little more efficient movements there. This will stay, again, pretty much the same. And then the single lane coming northbound. So very similar to what we had for the vision study, but in terms of, again, that evaluation process and thinking through, kind of going through our iterations and figuring out what's going to work best, what can we build out there, and moving forward. So those were the key areas I wanted to show up here. We do have layouts that we can roll out after we're done here. You can take a closer look at anywhere on there more than what we've got here. We're happy to talk, happy to show you your different areas, talk about our reasons for different things. But kind of moving on, we're looking towards,
What's the plan with 36th Street?
Roundabout. So the question was, what's the plan? Not here, but we have them in the layout. Yeah, we can show you that afterward. But the question was, what's the plan for 36th? I should have shown that up there too. But yeah, still single lane roundabout, what we had in the vision plan. And we've got that in the layout that we can roll out, and people can take a look at that afterward. All right, so turning the page towards how we're going to build this, looking at construction. A few things on here. First, with the text, what are our goals for construction? What do we look at? Safety, first and foremost. We want to be able to build this safely for not only the people who are going by, but the workers themselves too. Quality of construction, we want to maintain that through, and that gets to a little bit of how much are we constructing at one time, how you break it up. And then very importantly for everyone here, maintaining business and resident access. So we need to maintain access through. That doesn't mean it won't be gravel or some not pavement at times, but it does mean we need to maintain that access to the businesses so people can get through and clearly identify how that is going to happen for you. And so that'll be some of the things as we continue going through this, we'll be able to point that out. I didn't hit on this, but one of the unique things about this one, we do have a contractor on board right now who is helping us evaluate the plan, and they will be able to very specifically come in and say, yes, this is how we're building this part. This is how long we think this might be closed or how long this might be out in front of your business. So those are aspects, again, as part of that engagement, part of that communication, really looking forward to getting them involved early and having some of those conversations, being able to answer those questions a little more thoroughly than the design guys. On the right, this picture is not 61, obviously, but it is from Rochester, and I brought it up just to show downtown area, half the road closed off. You can see vehicles moving back and forth, construction equipment out there. Just want to bring home that this is construction. There will be impacts, there will be heavy machinery going through. We do need to build the road, but that's why we're here, is to try to work with you as best we can and try to minimize those impacts. So I think I touched on this last time I talked to this group. And so big picture, how do you construct it? There's a few different ways. We considered, a couple different ways. Initially, full closure and detour. So obviously that's safer, it's fast, you get in there, you can build and go. It's just not feasible. It's a river crossing, people have to come through here. Rejected option, we're not going to fully close 61 and prevent traffic from going there. That's just not something we can do. On the flip side of that is maintaining full lanes. Could we maintain 2 lanes in each direction and do this? And that is where you get into the right-of-way that MnDOT has. Can you shift traffic appropriately? And we don't have the room. So we're left with what's in the middle of that 1 lane in each direction. And so I tried to show it a couple different ways here. On the right, this is picture, you can see 8th, 9th here. Just showing one side in red there closed. Gets a little tiny, might be hard to see, but there is, an arrow to the north, to the south. They're both on one side here. And then this just shows it a different view where you've got a median, you've got the area under construction, 1 lane in each direction, delineator in between. They're narrower lanes. I'm sure people have driven through stuff like this before, kind of head-to-head traffic. So that's kind of big picture what we're looking at, going down to that level, 1 lane in each direction, being able to build one side and then the other. So then with that, we get to other considerations. If we're doing that, now we have differences in terms of how do we get this. So our initial consideration, dividing this up into 3 segments. So as the bullets are out there, 3rd Street to Vermilion, that's a long stretch, but it would allow us to get in there, do a lot in terms of working through, more efficient for the contractor, can be faster. Then we go to Vermilion to 316, 316 to 36, so dividing it into 3 segments. That's a key aspect though, and one that, as you're thinking about it, if you want to talk now, if you want to think about it and get back to us, the other way to do this is to break it up into more segments. The trade-off, if you break it up into more segments, is it takes more time. So what we have to try to balance is allowing the contractor to move, get their work done, do it efficiently, with doing smaller segments and trying to get them done in more pieces. And what does that do for access? How does that, is it more 1 segment at a time, a longer segment? There are just options there that we wanted to point out. So currently we're thinking about 3 segments, but again, this is where we can think about it, we can discuss it, we want your input on it. The other consideration is if we're doing 1 side at a time, where are those crossover points? And so where are the public intersections? Currently, we're looking at it and saying, okay, we've got the signalized intersections, whether it's that signal or a temporary signal, that's where we would allow those lefts, those crossings. As you're moving through the rest of it, those accesses would be right in, right out, or some of the public intersections could be closed if they could go another way or if we're right there working. But again, it's an aspect and it's that trade-off between maintaining access versus construction speed and how we get things done. If we allow more crossovers, it takes us longer to build, it's easier for people to get around. So that's a balance that we want to talk about, and again, we want your input on. So this is just a figure that tries to show a little bit of what that could look like. So on the right side would be the bridge coming down, heading south to your left. So there'd be a crossover somewhere, get traffic on the east side here. The red shows where it would be closed. There could be a temporary signal at 4th. And again, it's kind of tiny, I apologize for that, but it would show a left turn lane, so people could go this way, left turn lane, people can come to City Hall. There would be those crossing movements here. But now as we move to like 5th, this would be a right in, right out. This could be right in, right out. It could be closed at times where we need to get in there. Same thing for 6th. Right in, right out on one side, right in, right out, or closed, depending. We wouldn't want to close them at the same time. We might alternate how that gets done, but that's kind of some of the considerations and what we're looking at the moment of, do we do a longer stretch like this, one half at a time? Is there only those crossovers at the signalized intersection, or are there some interim points that we need to consider to help with those movements back and forth on the highway? And we do have, again, picture of this. It's all preliminary, nothing's been settled yet, but we do have some preliminary aspects of that we can show. People can look at in a little more detail. For other sections, you can see what that might look like as we kind of determine how we're going to build this. All right, so other elements. Do you want to talk a little bit about the utilities?
So this just kind of comes back to what I was speaking about earlier. MnDOT's focusing on the geometrics, obviously, the layouts, the access points, et cetera. A portion of the city project, we're estimating at 30% design here, close to $4 million plus in utilities. We've got 9,000 feet roughly of water main, 9,000 feet of sewer along this entire corridor. We've got about 60 pairs of services to address in the right-of-way as well. So that's quite a bit of utility work. Utility work comes with at least an 8-foot minimum deep trench, right? That's our depth of water main. Our sewer gets deeper than that along the corridor. So think about crossings, think about stretches of utility replacement. We're gonna be replacing those utilities in kind mostly. And then when we get down towards 18th Street, we do have Met Council also partnering with the city and with the state on bringing a sewer line down 18th Street for a part of the way, down 61 and down 46, County Road 46 to about Eddy. This is setting up what will be our future trunk sewer line. Now we currently go to the treatment plant downtown, so we sewer everything to the east. 10, 15 years, all of Hastings sewer will go west towards Rosemount. So what we're doing is, as the road is opened up, we're kind of taking some advantage of some synergy here, and we'll be putting our big trunk line pipe funded by Met Council down that portion of the corridor. So we're going to be adding utilities in addition to replacing some utilities, doing it all at one time. So that's a big portion of the project to get layered in here as well, getting this all done at one time. Then you see on there landscaping, aesthetics, and lighting. We want this to be a continuously lit corridor, meeting certain roadway standards and guidelines. And so we're working with Excel, we're working with MnDOT Lighting Group to kind of get a plan in place to put those in and maintain them long term. Same thing with the landscaping and the aesthetics. Our plan is to kind of form a committee within the next month here. It's going to have a couple city council members. It's going to have a couple members from the business community. So Christy with the chamber will be reaching out for a couple of you to be representatives on this. It'll have a member or two from our Arts and Culture Commission, and then some key staff. So we want to get a group together that will see some options. We'll learn about the costs to the city and learn about some of the maintenance elements of these decisions. We'll vet through some options along with MnDOT and the project team. We'll bring those recommendations back to our full city council and get buy-in at that time. So this is a big project. It's not just the geometrics that we're talking about. It includes utilities, and we want to make sure we're making the right decisions for this corridor for the next 100 years of its life and existence. So, but we want to do that with a full picture of what the life cycle costs are going to be for these elements. But that is also another part of the project that some of you will get involved with, and we want to take that input as well.
All right, thank you. So next steps, talked about this before, continued engagement. Just wanted to share a little bit previous engagement, again, we have tried to be out here. We've tried to be transparent in what we're doing. We've tried to answer as many questions as we can. We've got a lot of lists there in terms of public meetings, council meetings. We were at Rivertown Days a few years ago. Individual business property owner meetings. I've met with many of you individually or in groups. Still happy to do that stuff. Downtown Business Association, the Chamber, the school district. We've met with Prairie Island as well. We want to keep them informed. This is a major route for them. So we have to make sure they know exactly what we're doing as well, get their input on how the project progresses as well. And then upcoming, this is where we talked a little bit about before. We're bringing a consultant on board to help us with our communication. So we're going through that effort. They should be on any day now. We were hoping they were going to be here tonight. We didn't get through our contracting with them, get their notice to proceed yet. But they're going to be helping with those bullet points up there, business liaison. So this is where we want to have, we're always happy to talk to you, but if you've got someone that you can contact, I'm not always available. As some of you know, it might take me a day or so to get back to you. This is someone we want there who's able to respond right away. Even if it's just a, hey, we got it, I need to go check with this one, have that immediate response, be able to work with you, be able to take those questions to us or whoever needs it, and start that collaboration, whether it's with the city or the county or whomever. Right along with that dedicated phone line, email, we do have that through our website right now, but we're looking at getting kind of a hotline as well, something you could call, whether it's ties up with that business liaison. Make sure we get our website, update emails, all that stuff. We want to maintain that as accurately and as quickly as we can, get that information out to people, and then continue with our public meetings, and it's not listed on there, but and these business meetings. So as Christy continues to lead these and talk about it, we want to make sure we're a partner with that we're out here, we're giving you that information, we're getting feedback from you as well, taking that into account for what we do. I guess I did have that at the end, additional public business meetings. And then that one in the middle, municipal consent. So as part of this, as part of our standard process for MnDOT, where we are making big changes, we go to the city and formally ask for their approval. And so that'll be coming at a later point here once we get through a little more, and then that'll be announced through the city of when they're going to do that, when the council can discuss it. And again, hopefully we're all on the same page and we get that approval. All right, so talking about funding, current construction estimate, we have 41 million. So this is, there is a price tag to this as we look at what we're doing, what we want to accomplish through here. We are not to that amount yet. We're a little over half, as I have up there. So the two things we're looking at, we continue to pursue funding options. So I've listed a few here that we're looking at, ways that we can add more to that pot. I am also, I keep looking at where are there opportunities for MnDOT. Are we able to contribute more? How can we get this fully funded? We're proceeding as if it's going to be fully funded. I'm confident that we're going to get there. We're just not there yet. Now, should my confidence not work out, if we don't get that fully funded, we will still have a project. We're still going to build out there. We're going to make changes. We're going to proceed. What we're looking at, if it's not fully funded, that south end from Highway 316 to 36, we have a project on Highway 61 to the south of Hastings that comes up in shortly thereafter. We could take that piece and move it into that second project. So that would save money for this project, still get it done at that later date. Otherwise, we look at what can we do to scale back the scope. I've listed one thing. We have a pedestrian bridge that we want to put in over the Vermilion River. That might get delayed. Maybe we take that out and save $1 million or $2 million there and bring our costs down. We're planning on new signals. That's another option. Do we need new signals out here, or could we refurbish them? If we're not fully funded, that would be an option that we'd take a look at. So the project will still happen with the money we have. We're just going to add to it because we want to do everything we can as part of this. And then project delivery, just a few notes as we're moving into this final design stage. First bullet on there, finalize the approach. And so we're doing that in terms of we know it's one lane in each direction. We know we're going to build one half at a time, but those options that I talked about, how long are those segments, where are those crossing points, those are some things we're still discussing. Once we have that outlined, then we can dive into more details and really set up that staging, really start to look at what does this mean for individual access and how does all that come forward. The CMGC is an acronym for our contractor that we brought on board. It's just the type that we're doing. So we're going to be doing constructability reviews with them. And it's a check on our designers, make sure that, yes, the contractor can look at these plans and go, yep, I can absolutely build that. Or if we're off something, or if he has something more efficient, which could be anything. You know, hey, if we move this pipe over here, I'll be able to set this up in my sequence better and make the whole process go more efficiently. Those are some of the things that we want to talk with them about to help us be as efficient as we can in terms of how we're building this. Coordinate the utilities. Ryan talked about that a little bit, redoing their connections. We mix that into our plans, make sure we don't have conflicts, make sure we know how those interact with the overall construction schedule. Refining our cost estimates, that's something we will continually do as we improve our design, as we move into more and more of these design phases. We'll be able to reduce our risk, take out some of the contingency, hone in on that number, and have a better estimate. And then one of the big milestones coming up, getting to a 60% plan. So that means 60% designed. We're not fully designed yet, but plenty of detail in there, plenty for us to, again, refine our estimates, go back in, have those constructability reviews. It's just a milestone as we work through to get to full design of the corridor. All right, I think that's what we have right now. Happy to entertain some questions, happy to have some discussion. If we want to talk about the construction staging, if anybody has any thoughts they want to share right now. Otherwise, we can get the layouts. You can take a look at where we ended up for some of those things. We've got the staging that you can look into a little more in depth too. And then Robert and I and Ryan, we're all here. We're happy to talk individually as needed.
I have a couple things before we ask for questions. One, you guys asked about, and Ryan mentioned, and so did Brian, a business liaison person. So we went out and hired a consultant. As soon as we get them on board, we're going to have one point of contact for you guys that you can contact this consultant of ours and do anything, ask any question. They're going to know exactly how to get a hold of me, Ryan, our construction contractor. We went out and did a unique delivery here, what Bryant said, CMGC. Construction manager, general contractor. That construction manager that's going to build this project for us is now on my design team. His name is Jason Ivers, and he is with Schaefer Hoffman Construction. So we hired Schaefer Hoffman Construction to build this for us. Obviously, they have to look at it, bid on it, and if we accept their bid, then they get it before January letting date. They're also at the table helping us, like Bryant just said. It's been a lot of learning curve for them, for us, and for it's been helpful for the design. Even today, Bryant just showed you the maintenance of traffic, our MOT, how we're going to build this, how we're going to stage it. And they came to me and said, hey, Robert, let's stage it in 3 stages, but that longest first stage, let's phase it. So we're going to phase it, and then we talked with the city and their utilities. Where is your water mains? Where is your sewer located? Where do we want to put our stormwater pipes? It's all on the north side or the east side of the road. So now we got to go back and change our MOT. We were going to build the west side of the road first, starting from the north going south. Now we have to go and change it to the east side first. So that's another change. We want to get that coordinated and locked down before 60%. We just hit a huge milestone. We have the layout done. We have the 30% design plans done. We have engineers' estimates going out there looking at this to get a really fine-tuned amount of what this is going to cost us. And so then our folks can go and get that additional budget money because we have a funding gap. But that's been really useful, is bringing those folks on board and having that contractor there. So with that and a lot more public engagement, whether it's the public, the businesses, we want to make sure we bring you guys along for this ride all the way, especially this summer. Between 30 and 60% plans is when things are key. So we want to bring you guys along and all that. I think that's all I wanted. There was one more. Can you go back one slide, Bryant? So the utilities, construction estimates, we did that. Yeah, plans and the traffic control, yeah. And the utilities is a big thing. Today we had a huge meeting today, about 4 hours long, just looking at risks. What are our risks on this project? We brought everyone together and we're gonna start pinpointing those risks. Right-of-way is a huge thing. We're working with the city on getting our right-of-way, what we need to build the road, but the city's gonna be coming to some of you folks too and saying, hey, we need this right-of-way and temporary easements and stuff to be able to connect some of these utilities that we're looking at doing. So it is a big project, it's a heavy lift, but we want to make sure we try to get the funding, do this right. This is a legacy project. We want to work in a good partnership with the city, with the businesses, get this done right. So we're not back here until about 50 years from now. You said 100, but it's about 50 years this will last. Everything we build fails. We got to be back and build it again, but hopefully we won't even have to be back for at least 50 years.
All good?
Now questions, sorry.
I have a question on the utilities part of it. If you dig up my line and you find out it needs replacing, is that my cost to go from the road into my business where I'd have to tear up my parking lot? Or, you know, if you decide to put a power line underground, as it comes into my business on a big pole, you know, out there, is that gonna be my cost?
All the utilities that we're working with, and we've hired 2 consultants to work for the city and the state with utilities coordinations, we'll hopefully have that all squared away by 60%. Everything's gonna be on our right-of-way. Anything that's off our right-of-way, that would be a city question.
Yeah, for the utilities, our replacement would be the main out in the road, and then the service line to your business up to the property line. So that's usually where our curb stop is or our shut off is for our water. That right-of-way line, that right-of-way point, which is usually, I don't know, 10, 20 plus, 10, 20 feet from the road edge. That's that at that point location, if you know where your shut off is, we would fully replace the shut off and the service line and the connection to the new main. And then from that property line in, if you decide to do more replacement at that time, that would be your cost. It would not be your cost from in the road up to the right of way, that part of the service.
If you can't connect to the pipe that's underground, for me, I have to put in a new pipe for mine, is what you're saying. So say the pipe, been in there 60, 70 years, whatever, and it's deteriorating, it should be replaced, that's my cost to fix that. If you can't connect to it, is what I'm getting at. So if you got an old, cast iron pipe down there, can you connect to that old line?
We can connect to that typically. There are some instances, we're out there doing televising right now. So we're actually shooting lateral launch cams to get some data on issues, and we can tell, could it be lined? Could it be connected to? We don't know that right off the hand. Typically, we, throughout the city, we do projects like this every year. Not to this scale and magnitude, but for utilities. We have conversion materials that we can get, translate from our new pipe material to an old cast or whatever material you have.
Bring it to my business.
No, we would not do that. No, we would bring it up to the right-of-way line. Yep.
There are so many different utilities under the ground here that one of the things that we want to do is step up and mitigate that risk as much as possible. So we went ahead and hired another consultant to do a SU contract, a subsurface utility engineering review. So we're getting video of 3D, 4D video of every utility that's under the ground right now. So that's really going to help us, and we'll have all that finished. They've been out there. If you see people out there working now, we're doing core drillings. We're doing surveys of this. We got Stonebrook Engineering out there looking at this SU utility, televising things like Ryan said, and that's going to take us about 6 months, and we're a month into it now.
as you know, the whole downtown is solid limestone.
Yes, that's another interesting fact. All the rock that's underneath the ground, how are we going to do it? That's going to affect how we build this and the different phases too. There's a question over here first. Go ahead. Next one over here.
Yes, Dave Campbell from the City Council. I'm wondering about hours of work. When it was done the last time in 74, 75, and 76, they started out in a normal workday process, but as the project went along, it got to be longer and sometimes they worked weekends. What's the projected time here this project? Is this going to be sun up to sundown, or is it some other time?
Great point. We were actually discussing that today. The contractor came to us and said, you know what, Robert, and our entire team that are doing the estimate and doing the maintenance of traffic, and we were looking at how long is this going to take them? Is this a one-year project? And they've said absolutely not. It's not a one-year project. One of the unique things about CMGC is we can let early work packages to get things done early, like maybe the retaining wall at the high school, maybe the bike ped bridge, maybe the crossovers. We're looking at 2 crossovers that we have to build, maybe ordering some materials in, the removal of trees and trimming of trees, things like that. We're looking at smaller little let packages that could be done in 2027. Right now, this is planned to be let in January 19th of 2028, and the bulk of all the construction done in 2028. So they said, if you want us to do it all in 1 year, we need to have 2 shifts and be working at night too. So that's an option. That is something in the next 6 to 10 months, we're gonna be coming to you guys and saying, what do you want? Do you want us to work at night? Do you want 24/7 operations? They'll build whatever we ask them to build, and they'll do it in the timeline that we want it. But do we want that? So right now, we're looking at 5 to 6 days a week, 8 to 10, 12 hours a day, normal construction, trying to get the bulk of it done in 28, any punch list items done in 29, the landscaping that Ryan mentioned, trying to get that done in 29 after the project's done, wait to put those nice plants in then, and then some early work packages in 27, fall, winter of 27. So that's our timeline right now. Is it gonna work? We hope so, but it could have to change. One over here.
My question was, you're doing it in 3 segments, and that's kind of what you hope to do, from the 3rd to Vermillion River. That's the fastest route, those 3 segments. If you do it in shorter segments, you said it's gonna take longer, 6 months longer, 3 months longer, 12 months, that's gonna make a difference too. Get it done.
Absolutely. So we looked at doing the entire east side of the project at one time, and then flipping over and doing the entire west side of the project at one time. That's a lot of hurt to the businesses on one side of the road longer. Or do we segment it up into 3 segments, do different phases within those segments? The first 2 would be done under traffic until you get to the 316 roundabout. Once we finish that, from 316 down to 36th Street, that's full depth reconstruction in bituminous, not concrete. So we don't have to worry about cure times. We're adding a sidewalk on one side, we're adding the 8-foot trail on the other side, and the roundabout is gonna be bituminous at 36th Street, whereas the 316 one is gonna be concrete. So timing there, we may have a detour. We can detour around that section. People can go around 316, people can go around through some of the neighborhoods. We'll make the trucks go only one route so it's not going through the neighborhoods. So we're looking at a detour for segment 3, but the other 2 we have to do under traffic. Do we do the whole segment at once, or do we break it up into smaller segments?
And my question was, how much would that push it out?
Yeah, so we're looking at the timing of that too. We just started that, so that's what I want to get nailed down, and having multiple meetings with you guys over the summer and get that nailed down by November. Any other questions? Ma'am?
What's your plan for detouring to get people into downtown? Are you planning to take them out, Old 42 out to 55 versus bringing them in on 55 and because 61 will be closed?
Downtown, the old downtown, they'll always have access to the side streets to get to downtown somewhere. Yep. Our goal, and this is a hard goal, but our goal is to never shut anyone down. Always, we may shut a side street down, but you might have to just go down one more block to get to where you're going.
Unless they're constructing right in front.
Yep. Remember, unless they're constructing right in front, whether it's curb and gutter, sidewalk, the main roadway, the side street, this is concrete. We got to let it have a cure time. So it takes a little while on right where we're working. Any other questions? We're right at 4 o'clock. I'm willing to stay if you have more questions. We'll bring out the layout in the back. I have some of the detour stuff and phasing stuff we could show, but I think you want to see the layout probably. Ma'am?
I just have a question, but it might be a silly question, so you guys are getting.
No question, silly.
No, city, not.
Oh, a city. I thought you said silly, and I'm like, no question, silly.
Rid of all the parking there under $1 million, that's the only place my clients have to park. Is there going to be other parking? There's a lot of apartments there, they all park on the road. We're losing all the parking.
Yep, all the parking along 61, I believe all the parking on 61 is being eliminated. So all the side streets should have some parking, and they'll have to modify and maybe walk a little farther, but that's a question for the city.
Yeah, this is a portion we've known about with the parking coming off 61. Is we're working with our community development folks and looking at some lots directly off 61. What is it, the Comcast lot, I believe, is one. CenturyLink, I get those two mixed up. The CenturyLink lot, we've already engaged in some conversations with them, opening some public parking up in those locations. That might come with some better wayfinding for that parking to get customers to and that sort of thing. So that's in process as well. We understand that need. We've planted those seeds. But again, if folks have ideas on signing things or lots that would be ideal, we'll take those into consideration. We've started some of those conversations. So I think there'll be alternatives.
All right, we're at 4 o'clock, and I want to be respectful of everyone's time, but thank you to Brian and Robert for being here. That was a lot of information, and I know my old eyes could only process about 30% of it, so I do want to thank Hastings Community TV. They have filmed this entire segment. If you signed up on that email sheet, or if you're already receiving the Highway 61 Open for Business emails, I will send out that link, and then it will also be on the Chamber website and on the Hastings Community TV YouTube, so you can rewatch everything that we've seen today. And I know Bryant and Robert will stay. They're going to roll out those maps, so if you want to take a closer look at your sections. And then we will coordinate another business meeting that may just be business focus, because I know MnDOT can't be at every single one, but we'll get that scheduled in the next couple months, and then bring MnDOT back in as we start looking at options for construction. So, lastly, I do want to thank Hastings at Golf Club. They donated the space and the equipment for us to meet today. So if you're not planning on having a drink after this meeting or eating, make sure you go on and give them a Google review and thank them for this space today. So, all right. Thanks, everyone.